So what that means is when a company promises to automate your operations, especially material handling, what usually happens is they come in, they relay your entire workspace, they lay out QR codes, they change the racks, they ask you to change operations so that the robotic space stays isolated. So I'll start from the AI and machine learning aspect of robotics itself. So one very, very critical thing for us is how dynamic it is. So robots, when they go into an environment, it's initially and conventionally based on a very rule-driven type of algorithm. So this has many limitations in terms of how it adapts when a new obstacle comes into the environment itself. So what we're trying to do is add in deep learning, artificial intelligence, to kind of improve how robots see the environment firstly. So when it understands how the environment is moving or what sort of obstacles come into the view, it kind of improves how the robots respond. And that's very important because of downtime. So traditional rule-driven systems, when they see something new, they get lost in a sense. The map. So usually robots use a map to kind of localize themselves. So when a new obstacle comes in, what happens is it doesn't understand where it is or what part of the map it is. It gets lost. So the main reason deep learning and AI comes into that element is they're removing that localization issues. So this is very significant for manufacturing companies because of downtime. They cannot afford robotic systems to fail during the operation itself. So in terms of IoT, what we have seen is in a few cases, especially for inspection purposes, there are different tools, different components of a big production line, for instance. How IoT we have seen having a big improvement is monitoring the health of each of these components. So for instance, let's say one part of one component fails and they're not inspecting it, it causes a big downtime for the entire production line, which is very severe for especially companies in the oil and gas industry. How IoT kind of improves that is you can track the health of each of the components over time, and you can have preventive or maintenance teams going on a lot earlier than when it fails, making it a lot easier to predict, prevent, as well as to improve your overall throughput as well. Yeah, so I think there's a few elements to how this is still not heavily adopted. The first reason we see is the cost itself. For some countries in Asia, the labor cost itself is not very significant yet for this to make a very positive impact. It is getting there. Even developing nations are slowly catching up in terms of labor costs. Labor costs are rising every year, and eventually it's going to hit a point where even for these countries, they're eventually going to adopt robotics as the main way forward. I think the other aspect is in terms of comfort with robotic systems. And what we see is that instead of aiming for a fully robotic solution upfront, what companies need to see is they plan it in phases. And it's something which we have proposed to a lot of companies as well. Instead of going for a complete robotic system initially, have, let's say, a 6-month period, a 1-year period, where you work with fewer number of robots, for instance 3 or 5, and get people accustomed to having robots around. Right. I think the first main thing which a lot of people need to do is first understand what's in the market. They need to understand what technologies are available and what impact each one has. So then once that initial screening is done, what can be done is you do an initial POC. Because a lot of times what is not clear is what is the operational improvement from using a robotic system. They need to understand what aspect or what parameter is being improved. So once with the POC, let's say for a 3-month period, you kind of narrow down to what parameter it is. Then you can start expanding and start building on that. Another thing which I feel is important is retraining your existing workers. A lot of robotic systems, a lot of IoT technology are designed for even for these sort of minimal technical training. What companies could do is train or retrain these individuals so that they know how to use these systems. This will help because you won't have that resistance from those workers because they feel like they're losing their jobs. But if you retrain them, they know that okay, they still have a value they can bring to the company. So in that sense, it'll make it a lot easier for these companies to introduce and for existing workers to accept.